We have made up ideas about what a relationship and a husband or a man is supposed to be like. We don't mind having a man as long as he don't act like a man. We could be with him, but if he start coming up in that kind of give some instructions to say how he wants things and what we supposed to do, we go get everybody then. Oh no, you trying to tell me what to do? Somebody need to tell us what to do. It's obvious we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
See, not getting along is a luxury. Being able to disagree, break up, make up, and all of that's a luxury. But there will come a time based on things that we all need to survive, and where we're going to need a man, where we're going to get past a whole lot of what we got going now. It's just going to fade away. Like Trump said, it's going to poof. It'll disappear. It's not going to be there. But for right now, the man's role would be to protect and provide. Now, when we say provide, that don't mean buy you every kind of weave you want that costs $800 or $900. It don't mean buy you every kind of Gucci and Fendi and Louis Vuitton. That ain't what provide means. He's going to provide direction and guidance, love, affection, discipline for our children, and help with all of those kind of things. Provide ideas. So, we have it all mixed up. So those are some of the things that the man needs to do. He needs to not let us get away with things, because the moment we get away with sneaking a line, we really open it up and do that a lot more because we think we've got him tricked. And that's one of the reasons that so many Black women were angry with me for putting out the Black Man's Guide to Understand the Black Woman, because our men needed a heads up. And even with that, it's hard for them. But they just have certain information they don't have about us that keeps them confused and makes them reject us and go to someplace else. He's outside looking for people.
Y'all didn't need no introduction. My man, Allende. What's good, brother?
What's up, brother?
What's good? And we also have, what's good, Layla? How you doing, girl?
Hi, guys. Good. How are you?
We're
excited
good.
to be here.
Glad to have you on here. No, thank you for coming on, man. We're about to have an awesome conversation. I'm interested to hear your thoughts and your side of things too as well. But before we even get started, why don't you introduce yourself to the chat? If you got anything going on, things like that. And I'm gonna tell you right now, we have a very supportive chat, and we have a very supportive audience. So if you have anything going on, see, awesome. So you already know. So guys, give her a good welcome. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? My name is Layla Issa. I'm just how can I describe myself? I'm a wife. I'm a mother of three children. I love coaching sports. I'm really into empowering females, especially in our Muslim community, because we don't get a lot of support in that area. So that's kind of my role in the community. I like to help out at our mosque. I like to put on youth programs for particularly the girls, because I feel like the girls are always pushed to the side, especially when it comes to playing sports and just living a healthy lifestyle that's not encouraged in our community. So I feel like that's kind of my role. I took on that role.
So when you say communities, are you talking about your community, the community you're a part of, or are you talking about communities as a whole?
So I did a little of both. So when I talk about community, it's more of I have my Muslim community, which I have a lot of young girls that come to our mosque, and we'll put on sports events for them, or we'll have a camp, or we'll have bonfires, and we'll talk about issues that they're dealing with. So in that way, and also I guess you would say the larger community. I worked at the YMCA. I particularly put on basketball programs for the girls in the community. So I'd say I do a little of both. But
that's what's up.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, welcome, guys. Give Layla. I'm sorry, is it Layla?
It's Layla.
Layla. Okay, the I was tripping
Ali.
me off. Layla Ali. That's what's up. Give Layla a warm welcome, guys. All right, shout out to you. Thank you for coming here. We're gonna introduce our next guest, Natasha. Natasha, what's good, girl? How you doing? Welcome to the stream.
Thank you so much. How are you?
Good. Oh, damn. Oh,
wow. I love her accent.
Wait. I was not expecting that.
I was watching that James Bond movie.
Time out. I'm just like, wait.
I know, right?
You got a mission for me? A 007. Beautiful. We got a. I'm like, all right, shit. What's up, Natasha? Welcome to the stream. How you doing, girl?
Thank you so much. I'm really well, thank you. And how's everyone?
Good, good. We're good. Why don't you introduce yourself, man? Who are you? Let the chat know anything you got going on. What's up?
So I'm Natasha. I'm from the UK. I work in diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I'm very passionate about these sort of discussions. And
That's
I'm
good.
very, very happy and excited to be here today as well. Thank you.
That's awesome, man. Look, man, it's about to be a great conversation. So,
Right.
so the last stream we had, we were having a conversation of like relationships and the roles that people are supposed to have, right? So we'll kind of like before we get into this topic, because one thing that's crazy nowadays that people have an issue with is the word submission, right? And it carries a negative connotation towards it because especially with the Western cultures and things like that. That's not going to happen, right? So we're going to get into that. We want to know what that kind of looks like, but the best way to kind of ease into it is for you guys, right? I think Layla, you're in a relationship. Natasha, I'm not sure what your relationship status is, but we'll start with you. So if you were to get into a relationship, what roles, right, would you expect that you would play in a relationship and you would want your man to play in that relationship too as well?
I think
Layla, do you mind if I like put you on mute real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. It's just you got cars moving about. Perfect. All right, go ahead.
I think I'm quite liberal. So my family's Christian, and I think growing up in a Christian household, I was always taught, you must be very feminine, you must be submissive to your future husband. Also, being African as well, in my culture, it's very much a woman knows her place. We serve men. I remember growing up, being the youngest female in my family, I'd have to go around and wash everyone's hands before we ate. And it'd start with the oldest man down to the youngest man and then all the women. But I think growing up here, like in the UK, I've obviously lost that tradition. And I think I'm quite liberal now. So if I go into a relationship, I don't have those role expectations. I understand that different cultures are different, and of course, I respect every culture. So if that was my husband's culture, I think we'd have to sit down and talk about it. I wouldn't, I wouldn't dismiss it because that's part of his culture. However, I think where I am quite liberal now, so I don't necessarily think I go into relationships thinking, okay, this is my role as a woman and this is your role as a husband. However, obviously there's basic things like we meet each other in the middle when it comes to bills, when it comes to housework, when it comes to working. I don't think I personally would feel comfortable if I was the sole breadwinner in our relationship, but that's just my personal preference. But yeah, I think I'm quite liberal now. So
okay, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hey, so I'm Sophia. I'm from the UK, and Natasha, fellow Brit. Hello. Yeah.
Layla, let me unmute you here about your answer to the question. So you're already in a relationship already. So I guess you can kind of talk about the kind of roles you guys have with each other and how that works to making sure that you guys have a home.
I've always struggled with the word submission, always, especially in the dynamic of a man and a woman. For me, I was raised by a single mother. My dad was there, but he was working a lot. And so I was raised by a strong, independent woman. So for me to go into a relationship and knowing that I'm married to an alpha male, as you would call it, someone that is very, I don't know if it's a correct term, but I guess I would describe
alpha dogs. That's what it is. You got to wolf it.
Yeah. So he's very assertive, but still very kind. And when we had talked about the word submission, or we had talked about actually, like, I think he had brought it up in a conversation one time when I was like, listen, you're my husband, I'm your wife, but in no way are you in charge of me. Like, I think we had a conversation about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always struggled with that word, but I've learned over the years that it's better to submission doesn't mean that the person controls you. It just means that you are submitting to a position in where you have to work with someone else to create this end goal that you want, i.e., a happy family, i.e., children that are raised in a healthy environment. So
women have a problem with submission. That's false. Women are the most submissive part of humanity. Women are extremely submissive. They follow the rules to a fault. They do what they're told, okay, in school, at work. You get what I'm saying? A lot of times in their family, with each other, with their friends, with their peer group. Are you fucking kidding me? Women do not break goddamn code. They do what the group tells them to do, right? So women are extremely submissive. What you mean to say is that women are have a problem with being submissive to men, and this is how we know it's programming. Because if they just genuinely had an issue with submission, then they would be fighting and resisting every voice in society. And they do not fight voices in society. They don't fight Oprah's voice. They don't fight their friend's voice. They don't fight the TV's voice. They don't fight their boss's voice. They don't fight their teacher's voice. Notice they don't fight nobody else's voice but a man. Ain't no man gonna tell me what to do. They're literally repeating verbatim what they've been programmed to think and believe. And I'm going to give you another example how we know this is true. When I speak to single moms and I say to them, so why aren't you with the father of your child? Or why did you leave your husband? Oh, because ain't no man going to tell me what to do. Ain't no man going to control me. I said, really? Because you wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning and go to work for a stranger that tells you what to do, tells you when you can leave, tells you what days you may and may cannot have off, tells you if it's okay for you to go take a vacation, tells you if you can go pick up your sick kid from school. Are you fucking kidding me? You do what you're told every day by your supervisor, your manager, the district manager. The whole chain of command tells you what to do every day. But these are all strangers who can lay you off at any moment, but you won't submit to your husband or the father of your children, who is never going to change. He can't lay you off. You're always going to be the mother of his child. So that right there lets you know that this has nothing to do with submission. Okay? The fact that women would rather get up and go out and go work for a stranger, wait to get their money, and then have taxes removed from it lets you know that they simply have an issue with following men because they've been told and taught to have an issue with following men. They've been told that it's weak. They've been told it makes them a slave. They've been told it makes them a robot, and every other word that doesn't feel good. Notice I said feel, because there's no logic involved. Okay, so what they've done is they've associated with negative feelings with men.
And I think that's why a lot of people get afraid of getting into relationships, because they don't want to it seems like society is pushing this narrative that, women need to continue to be, in order for them to be strong, they have to be independent of a man, independent of all these things, and there's this narrative, this idea that's being pushed. And although it is important for women to be, to have that like sense of self-worth, building your identity, building your characteristics, building that self-integrity, working on those skills to better yourself, that's always a must, right? But that doesn't mean just because we're independent, strong women, like, people are always searching for this label, I feel like, right? To label yourself as a boss bee rather than, a wife is more celebrated, I feel like. But it takes a lot of girls need to start looking inside more, and understand that we are strong. You are strong when you put someone else before yourself, like your kids, for example.
So we often hear this, right? Independent. Well, we got to be independent, strong women kind of trope going on. But you also made a good point, Layla. You were talking about how it usually meant independent for men. Now, why is that? Why is it that in order for a woman to be strong, she has to be independent from a unit that's going to make her stronger? I never really understood that. So, Natasha, go ahead and what are your thoughts on that? Why is it this narrative is being pushed that in order for a woman to appear strong, she needs to behave like a man, but that doesn't make any sense because men are already there. Shouldn't you just play to your strengths as a woman? I never understood that. What are your thoughts?
No, I completely agree. I think there's this movement called the feminist movement, and dare I say, I think feminism definitely isn't what it's intended to be. I think back in the day when women didn't have the vote, this is me speaking about the UK, when women didn't have the vote, it came out of that, and it was more a movement for we want equality, we want fairness. I think nowadays it's almost like men versus women. It's like, oh, men have this, so I must have this. But as you say, it's about playing to your strengths. And I think we have certain attributes that men don't have. For example, we're able to give birth to children, we're able to literally create life. And that's strength. That's something that a man can never ever do. But I think feminism has just taken this whole message of independence and just twisted it. And it's sad to see because, as you say, like we have so many strengths that we're just not able to showcase. Well, we are able to showcase it, but we just don't showcase it. Because, as Layla said, it's all about being a boss bee. And I personally...
Oh, you can say it. You can say it, boss bitch.
Yeah, boss babe.
I
Boss
personally
bitch. Yeah, you can say
really
it.
Boss baby.
I wasn't sure if we could use that word.
No, go ahead, boss bitch.
I absolutely dislike the term. I think it's great to be educated. I think it's great to have your own. I think it's great to be a business owner. I think it's great to have ambitions, but it's all in balance. You can still have that and still have a partner. You can still have that and still have a husband, and you can still have that and still have a family. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. And I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong, because they think, oh, if I want to be a career woman, then I can't have a family, or if I want to have a family, then I can't be a career woman. But we all know that's not true.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah,
make a point
go
on that.
ahead, Layla. That's you.
I want to make a point on what Natasha said. By the way, I wish I had your accent. I would sound so much more sophisticated.
Definitely took me by storm. Like, oh,
right?
shit.
It's
Oh my
easy,
gosh.
mate. It's
I love
easy.
it.
Bloody
Very
easy.
easy.
So it's funny that people talk about like women being so wrapped up in careers and going out and working, or going out and getting the bag, and going out and just building themselves up, I think materialistically, right? Motherhood is one of the toughest jobs that you could ever do, you know? And I feel like society just, again, perpetuates this idea that motherhood is like nothing. You know, your mother, what do mothers do all day? They just sit on the couch, you know, watch Oprah, eat donuts, and just chill. No, we are working just as much as someone that was to go out to an office job. And I'm not knocking any women that want to go out and get a career. That's completely fine. But as the lady said in the other video that I was watching that Ayende sent, she had said, like, the further away you work from home, I think, like, the more messed up your house will be, or something along those lines.
The more your children will suffer.
The more your children will suffer. Exactly. And what is the greatest job on earth? Being a mother, being able to look at the child that you created, right? Natasha, you said, we have this gift of being able to give birth. That's such a big thing. And females need to start appreciating that and thinking about that, instead of always going on Instagram and seeing what everyone else is doing or what everyone else has, right? We have the power to create birth. That's such a big thing.
Okay, well, we got to prepare our men to be husbands. Granted, I'm not saying all men are ready to be in this role right now, or husband material, or, even boyfriend material most of the time. But what about the women out there not preparing their daughters how to grow up to be not only just wives, but responsible adults?
I feel like TV's social media, mobile phones are raising children these days, and that's why
Yeah.
they don't know how to do anything. And also, I think because, well, I can only speak for the UK, I find that a lot of mothers tend to be quite young. So you're having very, very young, immature women having these children, and they're just not ready for motherhood. They're just not ready to teach their children the right values. They don't have the time, the capacity, or the awareness to teach their children. And of those who do have the awareness or capacity, I think it comes down to laziness, honestly. I think it takes a lot to teach a child how to do things right. It takes a lot to do right, and it's so easy to do wrong. And people just don't want to take the time to do so. People don't want to take the time to teach their children anymore.
So, relationship wise, what roles do you expect to play? And then what roles do you expect your partner to be playing in these relationships?
So there's I don't know, with our relationship, the relationship I'm in at the moment, the roles are like kind of equal, but he's also got kind of a traditional sort of masculine role, so to speak. Like I find he'll do things like, you know, hold the door open for me, or like, you know, pull a chair out or something like that, and he'll make sure I'm fed, and that he'll take me places, and he'll do things for me, which is lovely. So he does sort of play some traditional masculine roles. However, I think I agree with Natasha. I'm a bit kind of liberal as well. So there are things that we do together that are just us side by side. So I don't know. My relationship is probably different to everybody else's, how they see theirs. But for me, it's fairly equal in a sense of he's got certain things that he's responsible for, or that he does, that keeps the relationship going. And I've also got things that I do as well, in a more feminine role, so to speak. So, you know, just taking care of him in a different way than he's taking care of me. And it works kind of in sync with each other. So I like the kind of idea of two people complementing each other.
Perfect. I mean, that's good. I mean, but that's something that we don't really see now. And kind of what Layla said, it's almost like we're getting pushed to where we're having women say, okay, well, F all that. Now you got to be the one with the foot down. You got to be the one to look out for yourself, right? Because, you know, who knows, you know, that man may not stay around forever. You know, you can't depend on him. Like, you know, versus, you know, teaching women, okay, well, how can I cooperate and work with this so then it doesn't have to be that way?
Absolutely doesn't have to be that way. Actually, let me make a slight confession to Layla. I actually just assumed that you would be submissive just simply because it's, you know, even the beautiful Muslim women are submissive. So I actually just assumed that that was the case with you and your husband. But turns out the submission was something that actually had came later. So I'm assuming you guys have some type of exchange of roles that makes this dynamic work for the family. Can you give us some examples of what the roles are, how they work?
Okay. So some of the roles that my husband, I guess you would say, is in charge of, when we decided to come together as a couple. He would be the provider. He would be the one that would work. In the beginning, obviously, we didn't have children, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my own job. You have your own job, but you pay all the bills, and I just save my money. So that was the deal. But then we were married for about a year and a half, and then we had our first child. And so I shifted to the stay-at-home mother role because I couldn't bear to leave my child in a daycare with somebody while I go to work all day. My heart just couldn't do it. And I don't knock any woman that does do it. If she has to go out to work to provide for her kids, then that's what she's got to do. But for me, I had the privilege to be able to stay at home because my husband is he's a middle school teacher, and he makes good income. So I was able to actually stay home with him and take care of him. And then when he turned a year old, I found out that he was diagnosed with autism. So we diagnosed him with autism. So that even made me much more, because even during the time when I was at home with him, I would get like, I'm gonna like cry thinking about it. I would get influenced to want to go out and work and leave him at home. So I know the struggle that girls go through. You know, when you're at home all day, it feels like you're just in a, you feel like you're in a rut. You're just stuck at home all day, taking care of kids, you know, not doing anything for yourself, just taking care of a newborn child. And there's so much beauty in that, but it's hard when society is always pressuring you. Always making you feel like in order to be worthy, you have to go out and work. That's why I love this topic so much, and I hopefully I want to make a YouTube channel, because I feel like men can call out women for all these mistakes that they're making, but I don't think we're going to see real change until women start calling out other women. You know what I mean? So that's where it's got to start. So I hope that I can do
That's not gonna
something
work.
like that. No,
I don't believe in that. I'm not confident in that at all.
I was waiting
No,
for
I'm not
Ayende to
either.
chime in.
I'm not
I was waiting.
Yeah. Listen, there's two reasons. There's two reasons why that's not gonna happen.
Why?
Number one, women aren't going to criticize each other or tell the truth on a mass scale. It's not gonna happen. Women struggle to criticize each other openly, behind closed doors all day long, like a machine gun.
That's so true.
But
That's so true.
publicly, you'll see women saying things like, "Well, how do you feel about OnlyFans?" Well, me, well, first of all, I'm not judging anybody. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I wouldn't do OnlyFans. It's like, wait a minute, time out. Then something's wrong with it. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? How do you feel about single motherhood? Oh, well, there's a lot of strong mothers out there, and I think it's incredible. Da, 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 da. But yeah, I wouldn't be a single mom, because it's like, what the fuck just happened here? So you know, that I don't have a lot of faith in that. Now, what would make a change is the reverse of how we got here. And how we got here was praising bad behavior, dysfunctional behavior, and insane behavior, right? So you have lots of women complaining about the same things over and over and over again, yet they exhibit the exact same behaviors that got those results. They date the exact same type of guys, and then they complain about those guys and say, why do I keep going for the same guys? Because you're insane. You do the same thing expecting a different result. So we have an insane, right? We have an insane society, because our society, the truth and the consequences are right in front of our faces 24/7, yet we will go down the exact same path that got that other person there. For example, i.e. single motherhood, i.e. Selling drugs, things like that. So guys will see that there's no 40-year-old drug dealers on the block. Why is there no drug dealers in their late 30s and 40s on the block? Because they're all in prison or dead. Okay, so what makes you think that you're going to be able to survive this lifestyle if so many people before you haven't been able to pull it off, right? And it's the same thing with feminism. How many of these young girls in university are actually looking at the women twice their age? So you're, you know, pro, you know, feminism, and you're coloring your hair and you're holding up signs and you're blaming the patriarchy, but why aren't you looking for 40-something-year-old feminists?
Fight the system.
Right, but where are the 40-some-odd-year-old feminists that are happy? Where are the 40-something-year-old single moms that are happy? Where are the 40-something-year-old career women that are happy? Where are they? Where are they, and why aren't we hearing from them? Right? So anywhere else, right, the intelligent thing to do as a young person, as a rookie, as somebody coming into new areas in life, would be to consult your elders. If you're playing a sport, let's say you get signed the contract, you're going to the NFL or the NBA. It might behoove you to talk to an athlete that's retired. Okay, that's already went through all of that. He was a college athlete. He got drafted. He had contracts. He had managers. He had agents. All that. He was on a team. He won championships, the whole 9 yards. And now he's retired. Talk to that guy, because that guy's gonna help you make the most out of your career. And he's gonna say, "Hey, young blood, don't do this, this, and this. Don't make the mistakes I made." Okay, so where is that? Where's the equal version of women? Where are the women 45 plus counseling these younger women? And basically telling them, hey, you're being lied to, right? So as far as how I feel about why women are struggling with submission, why women are pro-feminism, why women feel they need to go in the workforce and compete amongst men, it's real simple. It's the exact same reason why we got young thugs. It's the same reason why we have these prideful criminals in the Black community, because it's pride, right?
Yeah.
They're enticing you with pride, praise, and monetary gain. Right? So if you're in the neighborhood and all the guys that get praise are the drug dealers, the dope boys, the pimps, guess what? When you're a young boy, you're going to want praise too. You're going to want validation too. And who do you see getting it? The criminals. All right. Well, you're going to want money. You're going to want cars, jewelry, women. Who's getting that? Same demographic. Pro athletes, drug dealers, dope boys, pimps. Right? So, and then who's prideful, right? In the inner cities, in the hood, you're proud to be a thug. Go to Detroit. These guys are proud to be gangbangers, right? Go to Chicago. They're proud to be gangbangers. Go to LA.
True.
They're proud. They're proud of that. Those guys are prouder to do that than the men are prouder to be garbage men, prouder to be electricians, prouder to be construction workers. So you're more proud to be a criminal than you are to be part of the infrastructure of your city. I think it's more fundamental to be a construction worker. I think it's more fundamental to be a plumber or electrician, because look how many people are relying on you. Right? But you'd rather have people relying on you for a high, right? You take more pride in that. Okay, well, let's look at what they're doing to women. Okay, they're praising women for being single mothers. They're praising women for being career women. They're praising women to hate men and talk poorly about men. So it's intoxicating to women to get that type of validation, attention, and praise. So they're going to go that direction. Okay, if you rewind 50 years ago, the worst thing a woman could be is barren. If you couldn't produce children, it's like you might as well jump off a bridge, because that meant that you absolutely had no opportunity to get praise from the community. Nobody was going to pat you on the back. So that was women's way to get validation, attention, and praise in the past, was to become a mother.
That's absolute facts, and I mean that's what we're seeing right now. Let's open it up to the ladies. Natasha, what are your thoughts on what Allende just said?
Well, I'm going to rewind all the way back to Layla. Firstly, Thank you so much for your vulnerability, and thank you for sharing your story. It was absolutely brave of you to do so. Mental health is such a big thing, and something that's really, really close to my heart as well. I think one thing that we forget is that everyone has mental health. It's whether you have good mental health or bad mental health, and that can fluctuate during the day. And I think education is something that is lacking in society. I think we're so afraid to have difficult conversations, and these conversations need to be had in order for us to cohabitate and to work together. So in line with the submissive conversation, I think we need to educate our men more on what women face. I think we need to educate men on what sort of things women go through. For example, postnatal depression is so common, but a lot of partners don't understand it. 1 minute their spouse has just given birth and it's meant to be the happiest day of their life, and they're there crying, they're there feeling really down, feeling really self-conscious, and the men don't understand what's going on. They could have mood swings and they just think, oh yeah, she's just being grumpy, like I just don't understand. But it's like we need to educate men a bit better on how to support us. But again, it shouldn't have to solely be on us to educate them. I think sometimes it's just about having conversations and constant conversations, which I just don't think in society we have enough of. Prime example about conversations, I've recently been dating, and the sort of conversations that I tend to have, it makes me just wonder, like, who raised these men?
You know, it's funny. A lot of women have been they've been saying the exact same thing you're saying. Apparently, a lot of guys don't know how to talk out there. But continue.
Single mothers is who raised them.
So I met someone recently from a middle class background, normal family unit, very strong family unit. And just some of the things he says, it's just like, it's just question marks everywhere.
What are some examples? What would you say will be examples of like some of the same stuff he said that would be like
prime
alarming?
Example, in the very, very early stages of our conversation, he asked me, what bra size am I?
Oh God!
Out of the blue, it started great. Hey, how are you? How's your day going? What do you do? Do you have any hobbies? What bra size are you? I'm sorry, what?
That took a left turn.
Hey, that dude sounds like he's been listening to some of the Fresh and Fit boys. Huh?
Yeah, but why she continue to talk to him though?
Well, I continue to talk to him because I had to pull him up on it, and I was like, "That's inappropriate for you to ask me this," and these are reasons why I find it inappropriate. But I think, just going back to the point about how women are submissive, I imagine he's had this conversation or he's asked this question before. That's why he felt comfortable asking me. And previously, I would imagine he had a positive response where women would just automatically answer or think it's flirty or think it's funny. Unfortunately, I just don't happen to be one of those women, and I pulled him up on it. And I think we need to be having more conversations like that. If someone says something inappropriate, pull them up on it. If a man isn't showing you the support that you need, let him know. This is the support I need from you. I too have battled my own mental health. And honestly, I think the most liberating thing I did was to state exactly what I needed. If I wanted time, I want my space. I need time. I just need to be alone for a moment. If I want you to be there and let's talk, I need to talk. I need to talk to you. I need to talk to someone that I trust. So it is up to us in a way to have those difficult conversations, but it's also up to the men to realize and observe and just be aware. And then going back to women pulling other women up and things, I take issue with that because I think it's up to everyone to pull each other up on things. The example about single women, we don't know why women are single. I saw a comment that said his or her father died, and that's why they were raised by a single parent. I personally am an orphan, so I wouldn't know. But I do know that my grandmother raised me, and she has stayed single for her life because my grandfather had multiple affairs. But rather than her remarrying or going on to do whatever, she decided to take care of her children. She decided to provide for her children. And she's the most strongest woman I know. And she has taught me really good values. She's taught me how to be an independent woman. She's taught me how to be strong-willed. She's taught me how to not let anyone dictate my happiness. She's taught me all these values that she's had to learn the hard way. And I've had to learn from that. And that doesn't mean that I am then not going to be submissive to a man in the sense of, thinking a man owns me or whatever. But I am more cautious. I'm able to see things that maybe other people who don't have the same experiences or similar experiences might necessarily see. So when that guy said to me, "What's your bra size?" I pulled him up on it immediately because I will not be reduced down to some sort of symbol. I will not be reduced down to some sort of sexual being. I'm a 3D person. I have feelings. I have emotions. I'm complex. I am a woman. I am not some girl that you ask, "What is your bra size?"
Most guys out there aren't fuck boys or shit like that. The guys out there who really they're out here, they want to be with women and they ain't afraid to admit that they want to be with women. And these guys are not afraid of type of commitments and things like that. And most of them we have on this channel right now. The same thing with the women who aren't these kind of OnlyFans, Insta thoughts type of thing going on. They're over here right now. So it's like, okay, well, let's have this conversation right now. All right, what is it that some of these women want? And what is it that some of the men want? And okay, when we do get into these relationships, relationships, how is it that we're going to be able to fall into our roles where we can work and cooperate? And that's just one contention I had with my relationship, right? And why it fell apart, because I had a very straightforward, direct way of communicating, right? And my girl at the time, if I was as direct with her as I was with just about anybody else or at work or anything like that, she would take it as me talking down to her, right? And after a while, I never really understood. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? I'm literally just trying to tell you what's up. I'm not talking down to you. It doesn't make any sense.
Father, bro.
No, she don't. She
Raised by her
didn't. She
dad.
didn't. No, she wasn't.
Okay,
Right.
then
And
that's
right. But this is most guys. Most guys. Hang on.
Hold on. I just want to put you up in game. When you are saying something to a woman, when you're mansplaining, and they sit there and say, "Oh, you're talking down to me," what that means is they didn't grow up with discipline in their house.
Right.
So when you're putting things in order, they look at it as you're talking down to them because
right.
they've never experienced somebody checking them before.
Right. One thing I learned though was how to do it. Right. So it's instead of like, because don't get me wrong, even like future relationships now that I've had since that, it's like I still have those conversations, and now the way I communicate in a way where, okay, I understand that your emotional well-being. I'm actually more in tune with your emotion, and I can get my point across without having to offend you or have you triggered in a sort of way. So I learned how to adapt that, because my job isn't here to freaking change you. I've gone past that. My last relationship, that was the mentality I was on, right? Where I'm like, all right, let me take you out of this and let me make you this, right? Let me turn you into a gym girl. Let me turn you to now. Then I realized I was putting too much work on myself. And like, why is it worth it? Because it feels like I'm dragging her versus her wanting to come with me. So that was the thing. So now it's like, I'm not gonna try to change you. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing even before I met you. But what if you got something for me? You got things. I'm gonna communicate with you in a way where I can get my point across, but then I avoid the potential emotional thing that can come with it. Speaking direct, and I think that's a skill that really needs to be learned now, because a lot of girls will grow up without fathers, and that's gonna be a statistic moving forward in the future.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I agree with that. I think it's about learning different communication styles. I also do think a lot of it is about listening to your partner and listening to the things that aren't really being said, but also then bringing that back to say, okay, well, I've heard that you said this, and this is my understanding, because I think a lot of the time messages get misconstrued where you might be saying something so simple, it then turns into a whole argument. But if you just took that moment just to kind of circle back and say, okay, you said this and this is what I've heard, and just make sure you have that understanding, is so important. Communication is definitely a skill that isn't being taught. It's a skill that isn't being utilized, and it's the reason why we're here. It's the reason why we're having this conversation, because we're just not having these conversations outside.
People are communicating, but we're just doing it differently. The way they're using the technology right now makes it complicated, but first of all, people need to start vetting each other better is what it is. I mean, you can ask certain questions from the beginning to kind of even see if this is even potentially your person. So what he's saying, when guys think that all the women are the same and all this other kind of stuff, well, that would be neither here nor there if those guys were risk takers, if those guys were actually approaching women frequently and they were interacting with women frequently, right? They were hitting on girls and stuff like that all the time, then you think all girls are all the same. That wouldn't mean shit, because you'd be dealing with chicks on a one-on-one basis based on how this particular girl responded and acted. And then you'd start getting an idea, you know what I'm saying? You start getting a feel for what the majority is and what the minority is, basically being aggressive in that sense. Now, for women, that's never going to be the case. Women aren't going to be the doers. They're not going to be the ones approaching guys. They're not going to be the one, being forward like that. So the problem that happens is women have this passive way of determining what the type of guy they want or whatever. You have what they're attracted to, which they have no control over. And then you have, what they idealize as the guy that they want to be with. The problem is they only know what the guys that they're attracted to, want and need and require from interacting with them. And that's a problem, because interacting with women means putting mileage on themselves. So that's a behavior that's going to devalue them if they're doing it too frequently, right? So now what happens when they're interacting with these guys, they've already slept with this dude before they realized that he wasn't interested in anything but just sleeping with them. So now they already put that mileage on themselves, right? And now they're not going to communicate well with him to figure out what does he want, what is he interested in, because He's already gone in the wind. Now, as far as the guys that they're just sitting there twiddling their thumbs, saying, "Oh, I like guy like this, and I want guy like this," and all this other type of shit that they put together in their head, based on all the things they don't want from the past guys. The problem is they never stop and think, well, what does that guy want? What is that guy interested in? What's going to keep that guy's attention? And they don't do any kind of research to figure it out. They don't ask older versions of that guy. They don't do anything about it. They're complacent. They just sit around waiting for that guy to come find them. Number one, that's highly unlikely. And number two, if he does come along and find you, how do you know he's not just interested in sex and he just wants to sleep with you? So like that dude asking you your bra size, that's fucking excellent. I'm sorry. What he did was excellent because first of all, is he interested in something just short term? Is he interested in a woman that he's going to take serious? Or is he open for either, but he's just acting on his initial animalistic attraction? So what he's doing is he's filtering right now. So he's doing an excellent job of doing that because the chicks that's going to work on that are DTF, like Duke was saying, well, now we can get on with it. We know what's going on. I already put it out to you and addressed to you where my head is at and what I'm thinking about and what I'm interested in. And she obviously complied, either because she's interested in the same or because she's that malleable that she's just like, I think the guy's hot, so it's whatever the hell he wants. Either way, that guy's getting to where he wants to get to in a short period of time. Now, the mere fact that you responded to him that way means that he's doing an excellent job because you put the effort in to correct him and let it do. You're trying to make a case that you're girlfriend material. You're trying to make a case that you're wife material. Well, guess what? That tells him that you're very interested. If he could offend you like that and you're still talking to him, then you are very interested in him. So I'm sorry, but he's doing an excellent job of filtering. And I think more guys need to be like that and stop sitting around bitching and moaning and complaining and proselyting and guessing what it is and making assumptions and it's because of this and it's because of that. Well, you don't know because you're not getting off your ass and hollering at her, right? So whether you holler at her and it goes well, she slaps you in your face and walks away. You have more information than you did just sitting there staring at her from a distance. So you can't be upset with him for doing what he did. And you definitely can't because it worked. You still was talking to the dude, so you're attracted to him. You like him because we already know how women operate when it comes to that. Two guys can do the exact same thing, but a woman is going to react adversely different depending on how she feels about that guy. If an attractive guy pops up at her job unannounced, that was romantic. Okay? If a guy she's unattracted to pops up at her job, what a creep. And she's calling security.
I would disagree.
Go ahead,
I
Natasha.
would disagree too. I'm just saying.
I would say
that obviously has worked for that guy in the past. And as far as we can see, it didn't even fail dealing with Natasha. So you're disagreeing on what?
Going back to the beginning about you saying that you think it was a great way to approach the situation. I would argue that it wasn't. I feel like it was very immature. I feel like it could have been done in a better way. I think things that I've learned is to be upfront and direct. You could have asked that question. He could have asked that question in a better way. He could have said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Is this what you're looking for? Which many men have done. A lot of men will say, look, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm just in a stage where I just want to have fun. And I'm like, thank you so much for your time. That's something that I'm not interested in. And you move on. That's the mature way of doing it.
Okay, what he did was excellent because he got to the damn point. The way that
but it could have been done in a much better way, in a much more respectful way.
That's your concern. That's your feelings, your concern, your comfortability. It sounds to me like he didn't care about that and he wanted to get on with it. He's like, all right, I need to know where this is going right now because I'm not that interested in all this other stuff. Because that's the mistake he was making, was trying to tippy-toe around it before. He should have did earlier. You're making the mistake of thinking that he has to capitulate to you to that extent. So what he's trying to do is basically find an out because he doesn't want to do that much if it isn't about what he wants it to be about. They talk to men the way that benefits them. They talk to men considering their time, their feelings, their comfortability. So if he's doing the same thing, God bless him.
It's not supposed to be that way. So there is someone on the end of that conversation, right? That's the thing is these women and men, if it's a woman speaking badly to a man, someone is receiving this from you and you're making them uncomfortable.
Yes.
That is the whole point.
Yeah.
So
It's just disrespectful.
we don't know what his goal was, but it failed because
I
nothing
do.
went
I do. I clearly could see. I
nothing
could
Hold
clearly
on,
see what his goal was.
nothing went
let her.
further with Natasha. So he was talking to her. We're going to assume he was talking to her for some purpose. Maybe it was just for sex. Maybe it was looking for a relationship. But either way, he turned her off, right? He made her uncomfortable to the point where she had to tell him off. Women will respond differently. Another woman may just get up and walk away. But Natasha, myself, I will let the guy know, listen, please don't
Not
try not
okay.
to talk to women like this. It
Yes.
sucks. And then I'll walk away, which it
Yeah.
seems like that's
Exactly.
what she did. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well,
no, it's not
I get it.
okay what
Yeah,
he did.
I get it. No, hold on. Nobody said anything about okay. Women do things to men that aren't okay 24/7 in every damn country
And
right
we'll
about
call
now.
them
Okay?
out too.
What? Nobody's calling them out. And what you're doing is you're missing the point. You're over here talking about it's supposed to be. Who is the arbiter of how it's supposed to be? I get it. Women think
We
they're the
are.
arbiter
So
of
that
men's
And
man
that's the
comes
behavior.
to
reason why you
you.
speak out.
So
So
Ayende, that
let's.
man comes to you for coaching, for example.
What
He
he's
feels
doing
like
is
he's
fitting
unsuccessful.
the herd. He's not unsuccessful because obviously that has worked with other women. What he's doing is he's thinning the herd. He's cutting his losses. He's saving his time. I'm telling you right now, if the girl was on the same wavelength that he was on, she would have responded positively, which means she's worth the investment he's making. So what you don't realize, because you're not in the head of a man, is that a lot of times guys that are experienced with it, they're slick with it, they will offend a woman intentionally to get the information they need, because women are a lot more honest when they're emotional. They're at least honest about how they feel when they're emotional. So what he did, you're misinterpreting because you're over here thinking that you know why he did what he did, and you're thinking that he failed. Please, he could have said whatever she wanted to hear. He could have sat there and pacified her the entire time, but he would have been wasting his time, which is clearly more valuable to him than offending her or her feelings. That's what you have to understand. Men start caring. Hold on, dude. Hold on. Men start caring about a woman's feelings when he's with that woman. When he's with her and wants to be with her, that's when he starts caring about her feelings. Okay, but if she's just some chick that you are approaching, that you are trying to trying to hook up with, then I'm sorry, dude. Only the weakest of guys who are used to failing and who don't have options put that much value in what the woman thinks and what she feels and all of that, which shouldn't matter to him because she obviously doesn't give a shit about you. She obviously not interested in him or care about him. So why are you so overly concerned with how she feels? That's why you're in the loser box. That's why you're in the friend zone.
Have it your way, Ayende. But
I agree with that, but I also disagree with that as well. I agree with that because the man is pretty much, if you're not into that as a woman, he's pretty much just kind of selecting himself. You already know what he's about and what he wants. And clearly, obviously, he's right. Some women have probably responded positive to it before, and he thought this is something he's going to carry again. However, I do agree that was obviously you also got to learn how a conversation flows. I'm not saying that at some point you're not going to talk about sex, because we are going to talk about sex. Let's just face it. If me and you were, Natasha, we're talking back and forth for a week, at some point in time I'm going to push that forward, right? But it's just how I do it and the style I do it in. Now, if you're talking about just having you guys are having a plain old conversation, how was your day, what's going on, and then his throws in the broadsides, I got a problem with that, because then it's just like, wait a minute now, time out. That just means that you don't.
That's what made
to
it
me,
feel
what I
disrespectful.
to me, what I see is it's just like just lack of situational awareness. That's my thing. So it's just like
and just
if I'm talking, exactly.
Some niggas ain't got 2 weeks. Some niggas ain't got 2 weeks, bro. I'm sorry,
but you can do it in less than a week, though. That's the thing. I've pushed situations forward where I've actually gone and we actually start talking about like sex. It's just how you get her engaged and get her interest over the text. The problem is that guy probably didn't understand how to do that. And if you guys were going back and forth for a week, so he probably thought in his mind
options.
That we don't know that. We don't know that. It could be the case.
I'm sorry. Natasha is a very attractive woman. So if she was even interested in him to talk to him for any length of time, that means she found him attractive, which means that many other women find him attractive. Okay? So he is not pumping his brakes and holding up to find out when Natasha's head is at, if he can do it much quicker. That goes more to show how she feels about herself than how she feels about casual sex. Because if you're taking yourself that seriously, where your bra size is offensive, that lets me know a lot that I need to know that has nothing to do with having sex with you.
It's now, the principle.
All right, Sophia, what are your thoughts on it before it gets contested here?
I understand it was successful for himself. I understand what Ayende is trying to say. I think that what Natasha was doing by responding to him may count as success in your eyes. In my opinion, it was her setting a boundary, because that person violated a boundary of hers. The bra size itself is not offensive. It was more the kind of lack of respect around where he put it. So like Duke said, situational awareness sort of thing. But I understand what Andy is trying to say. There are many men out there that value their own time and their own
Absolutely.
thingies more. They value that more than what they're so I get that, and I understand what Ayende is trying to say too. I don't think it was the right way that he went about asking that. But
exactly,
again, I think Ayende kind of made a point where how do you ask it? You know, how do you go about doing this? So I get it. I get why men use those tactics in order to whittle down, you know, the people that they're interested in. Whether it's right or not is a different story. Different story. But yeah, I think there's a lot there to take from this, but for the main part, I don't think Natasha was giving him attention because of interest. I think it was literally just a boundary being set because he violated something. But yes, I see your point.
I got a question for you. So this one came through Instagram. A lady was saying, she said, wouldn't you want Natasha to self-censor, not self-censor, but to censor the dude if he's talking about the bra size and whatnot to move on, since like girls kind of do that with guys too as well.
Natasha reacted like she's supposed to, like a classy lady, and let him know where she was at or whatever. She basically let him know what the price was, and he basically said, I'm not interested in paying that price. And that's a form of communication within itself, because that's how seriously she takes herself. That's how valuable she thinks she is. She needs to be respected. You need to do this. You need to do that. Blah blah blah. It's not that he necessarily has a problem with that, or he disagrees. He just feels like, okay, great. I don't want to pay that price. Excellent. I see how that could be £500. I'm not paying £500 for that. I'm out. I don't have a problem with it costing £500. I don't have a problem with the next bloke paying £500. But me, bruh, I'm not paying it. It's that simple. Now, what I'm trying to say is, women have a very bad habit of always looking at men and men's behavior, not realizing that they have their version of that, right? One thing women hate is when men have the same amount of options, or a man, because men in general never have the type of options that women have. But the top 30% of men start looking equal to women as far as options. So women hate when men have options, and they hate when men have advantages in the dating market, and they hate when men have leverage in the dating market. That's why women don't want to depend on no man. They want to go get their own job and be independent, because depending on the man's money, that's a form of leverage. There's a lot of women that don't want to be with a guy that's better looking or in better shape than them. Why? Because he has more options, will put pressure on them. They don't like that. Okay? And any advantage that a guy has, for example, if you're on a campus that has 30% men, well, now the guys have the advantage over the women. Again, the women don't like it. They don't like it when the man has the advantage. Now, you see how she didn't like him being bold and saying, what's your bra size? She was saying that because if she ain't with it, it don't matter, because I got 10 that are. And I'm trying to figure out, before I waste my night with you, you know what I'm saying? Should I just go hit up one of my other things that I know is down? Now, when a woman opens up her Tinder or opens up her Instagram DM or her iMessage, she has tons of guys in there. So the equivalent of that for a female is, the moment he says something that she don't like, she out of there, because she has so many other guys, right? Now, was it fair to that guy that he gets discarded immediately? You see what I mean? Just simply because he said or did something slightly that's not to her liking. And the only reason why she's so quick to drop him or so quick to move on is because she knows she got tons of guys that want to take her out, tons of guys that want a shot at it. So I'm sorry to be honest and frank.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be honest as always. But what that was is a guy that had as many options as the average woman, and he acted on it accordingly. For the fellas getting results being an asshole, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. For all you dudes out there trying to pretend to be an asshole and still ain't working for you, stop pretending, stop perpetrating. So that's that right there, because you're saying that like these guys don't get results. These guys get results.
Because I wanted to ask Layla, because I think, Layla, you said that you're married and that you do consider yourself to be, correct me if I'm wrong, but to be submissive in the marriage. Would you say?
Yeah, I do. Now, It
Okay.
took me a long time to get to that position,
Yeah.
because
What
I
does
was
that
always
look like?
resistant.
Sorry, go ahead.
Um,
Yeah, tell
so for
CJ what
our
that looks like,
family,
please.
so for our family, the way that looks like is my husband is the head of our household. He goes out and goes to work, brings home money, and I'm in charge of in the home. Um, I make most of the decisions when it comes to our kids throughout the day because we communicate a lot about how we want to raise our kids, what they're allowed to watch. Um, there'll be times where we disagree, but we have to sit down and have those difficult decisions. We don't always come to an agreement on it, everything, and sometimes I have to swallow my pride and trust that I chose a man that is um, has a good head on his shoulders, wants the best, has the best interest in mind for myself and for my kids. And I think that's important when you're finding a spouse, because in the beginning, in the early stages of our marriage, it took me a long time to trust him fully, you know. So I think when we speak about this word submit, what does that look like? Does that look like he's better than me because he's the head of the house? No,
Hmm.
that just means we have different roles and we have different positions and we consult one another.
And you mentioned that you guys had a conversation at some point about you telling him basically, you're not the boss of me,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
When did you guys have that conversation?
Oh, that was early on in our marriage, really early on in our marriage.
Hmm.
Um, I I think it as because I got married very young. I got married and I wasn't planning on getting married. I was planning on, going to school, getting my degree in physical therapy and getting a job. But I always say that we make plans and then God makes different plans for us. So
For
in
sure.
that sense, I had to submit to that, and I chose to get married young. It was difficult because I feel like you don't start to really learn about someone until you're living with them, because that's when you're faced with a lot of demons that you have a lot of inside of you, a lot of issues,
Hmm.
a lot of um, things that we saw with our parents. All that stuff is inside of us, and I don't think it truly comes out until you're actually living with someone. Um,
Right.
so I had to I had to kind of learn and because I remember Natasha earlier you spoke about your mom, she taught you to be a strong independent woman, right? And same thing for my mom. My mom taught me that. But I had to learn that being strong didn't always mean it's my way. Being strong
Mm.
meant that you're submitting yourself, you're coming into cooperation with a man to raise children,
Yeah.
children that we hope will help change the world, will help
Yeah.
do something good for the world, you know
How did you guys handle disagreements? So, like, if he wanted to do one thing and you felt a different way, how did you guys handle that?
we're both very stubborn, so we would both like, he would do something that would irritate me and I would do something like, I'll give you a small example, very minute. My husband doesn't like the kids to watch like SpongeBob SquarePants and all that stuff.
No way.
um Yeah, so and I wasn't like I grew up and I'm 32, so right when I was like in high school, I think SpongeBob came out, but it was okay for my siblings to watch it. And so I never thought it was an issue. So I would let them watch SpongeBob when he would go to work and he'd come home and my son would like say things from SpongeBob and he's like, "Where's that from?" And I was like, "I have no idea. I don't know. Someone's letting them watch SpongeBob." So that's like a very small like example, but um, you have to learn that you have to work with another person. Even when you go to a job, when your boss tells you to do something, you can't, then go make your own decision on how you're going to do it.
Hmm.
So we got to work together.
Yeah.
So so you guys let me know if I'm kind of taking over. We on the stream yesterday, there was another lady on a video that was saying that she felt that her mom had steered her wrong because she had taught her this independence, but really she had actually taught her that men were the enemy, essentially. She had said, you know, be independent because men are the enemy. And what it turned out was that her mom had had a series of unsuccessful relationships and, you know, had regretted her relationships. And I think that that's where things go wrong. So in terms of talking about feminism, I agree with everyone that there are toxic aspects of feminism, the kind of extreme ends of it where that paints men as the enemy. I don't see men as the enemy. I love men. So
Mhm.
I think that what I take from feminism is a freedom that a woman can do anything that she wants. So if you, because there are different types of women, if you want to be a homemaker, which is a very important job, you can do that. If you want to be a career woman, which is important, you can do that. So that's what I take, and I think that society adopting that understanding frees women so that we don't have to struggle with our identities, right? So that we don't have to feel like we're failing as women if we choose one thing over the other, because you can have a freedom to mix it up, be one thing, whatever your heart desires, is essentially. So that's kind of
CJ,
what I wanted
let
to.
me
Yeah.
let me jump on 2 points that CJ brought up. Now, there are no non-toxic aspects of feminism. I'm going to tell you why. Before you guys jump down my throat, I pay attention to etymology. I pay attention to words. That's very important. Words are extremely important. And when we think that we can mix and match them and substitute one word for another, that's when we run into problems. That's when we get brainwashed. That's when we get conditioned. Feminism is toxic 100%, okay? From the F all the way to the last letter. What you're talking about, the aspects of feminism that you think are positive, have nothing to do with feminism. Those are humane aspects. The fact that you use the word feminism is where we fall into a rut. That's when you get this
Okay.
ideology that's destructive because you're going out of your way to say feminism. You're going out of your way to make a word female. Okay, and they do this a lot now in the mainstream in pop culture. You know what I'm saying? They keep replacing words and trying to implicate the word feminine into a word that used to be masculine. So, like for example, amen. They took the men out of amen when the etymology of the word, the part where there's men in there, has nothing to do with gender, right? So the word feminism is all by design. So everything that falls under the umbrella of feminism is to destroy us. Yes, they're using tropes that we think are positive. They're using subjects that everybody can get behind. Oh, equality. We can all get behind that. But why can we all get behind that? Not because it has anything to do with gender. We all get behind equality because equality is a human trait. It's a human right. That's why we get behind it. So you
Mhm.
saying that women should be free to choose whatever career and free to do whatever, listen, take the woman part out of it. People should be free to do what they
I
want to do.
agree.
People should be free to work. People should be able to vote. So when you put feminism in there, what you're doing is you're dividing and conquering because you're creating a segregation. You're saying females versus males. And that's what they were intending the entire time. So I want you women to get out of your head that somewhere feminism made a left turn. Feminism may make no fucking turns. Feminism is what they wanted it to be from the beginning, from the inception. What it is, it just takes a while to get there for you to see that part of it. But when they're in their little boardrooms and they're deciding what they're gonna do, their whole goal from the beginning was to divide men and women. And what they had to do was they had to instigate some conflict between the two. And it's the exact same thing that they do with racism. Okay, so the minute you start calling people black and white, that's the beginning of racism. The moment that you start separating them with words, that's when you start the gender war, or that's when you start the race war. CJ, what is
All
it
right,
that you think
but
feminism accomplished? Name 3 things that feminism accomplished in the Western world, because you basically just told me that you think that feminism is why women have to be 18 to be married in America. So what is it that you think that feminism is responsible for accomplishing besides the vote, when it really didn't? Those people already decided they were going to give women the vote, and it was for a completely different reason. It had nothing to do with empowering women. It actually is the opposite. They did that so that they could manipulate and control women's voting behavior and habits, because women were outnumbering the men. So they knew that if they could control women's voting, then they could control all the elections therefore to come, because there were more female citizens than men, and then men were going to prison and doing other things that would lose their right to vote. So that was just
Okay,
their
so
way of controlling the
it may
outcome of
have had
elections. So what do you think that feminism accomplished?
so it may have had other intentions. It may not have been for completely good intentions, but yes, it did give women the vote. Okay,
What did it
so
do?
that's
What did
one.
it do, CJ? What do you think it did?
I'm telling
Go
you,
ahead.
aren't I? So that's one.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it allowed women to enter the workforce a bit more, to enter
Women were
some
already
work.
working. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go
You gotta
ahead.
let her
They
do it.
introduced
And
affirmative action.
three, it
Before that, women were
allowed
already working.
and three, it
Go
has
ahead.
allowed for things like for some more reproductive rights. So looking at things like contraception,
The reproductive rights
availability
that are
of
destroying our
Abortion.
society.
like I
That was
said,
not about liberating women. That was destroying the nuclear family. But go
you
ahead.
may have different ideas about what the
It's
intentions
not
were,
ideas. It's
but I'm
proven. It's proven. The literature is there. Go ahead.
okay, but I will say that that these are things that feminism has allowed us to accomplish. I agree with you that there
No,
are
it's
toxic
what they
aspects.
convinced you. That's what they convinced you that feminism
Ayende,
did.
I
All right, let's just
disagree with
hold
you
on,
about these things, and you
hold on.
know that.
And I
So
know,
All
and I
I
know,
don't want us
and I
to get
would wish
trapped
that
in
you
this
would go do
loop.
the research for yourself.
I'm
I would
gonna
love for
look
you to
it
do the
up.
research yourself. Okay, they were female. Hold
Mhm.
on, they were female doctors. They were female lawyers. They were female pilots long before feminism. Okay, women having the right to vote. I already told you what that was about. It had nothing to do with benefiting, liberating, helping, empowering women. It was literally the opposite. It was about controlling them. Okay, and we all know women know very little about politics, nor do they actually read into politics
I
before
have
they
a
choose
political
who they
science
vote for.
degree,
They
Ayende. I have a political science
Again,
degree.
CJ, CJ, you always do this. You're talking about you
What
being
do
the
I
exception.
do?
I get it. Bravo. I applaud you. The
No,
average
but
woman does
when you
not.
say
The average
these
woman does not have your
sweeping,
job.
Ayende, when you say these
Because
Sorry,
the
I'm
research
gonna.
sweeping,
has been
Hold
done,
up,
sweeping,
hold up,
CJ.
hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up.
uh,
Okay.
CJ.
I
Let's
really
do this.
am
Let's do this.
trying
Let's
for
do this. Let's
respect.
do this. Yende, you are kind of like low key interrupting her though. Like you gotta let her
Yeah,
finish.
Damn.
I'm
Cause
so
I don't even
sorry.
like I don't even know the point she's trying to make at this point right now, and I'm trying to focus on this. So CJ, what is
Go
it
ahead,
that
CJ.
go ahead. Let's
Ayende
make
is
that.
asking me what I think feminism has accomplished. I'm answering, and he is telling me he has a different. We're never going to agree on these things. I am going to go look things up,
You
Ayende.
already answered. Right, you already answered. So I'm moving
So,
forward with what I'm saying now.
but the other thing, oh
Look
my
at the
God.
things you listed. I'm addressing the things you listed. Right,
No, but
you
Ayende,
listed
I
that
was
they were
moving.
working.
I was.
Bro, she gotta finish her point. Like she
Go
hasn't
ahead.
even made the point
Damn.
yet. She's gotta make the point.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He ready for you. He ready for you,
He's
CJ.
looking depressed now.
He's ready for you. Go
I'm
That's
ahead,
just
go
what,
ahead.
because
saying.
that's what she does. Every time I give her a chance, this is what she does. Go ahead.
No, Ayende.
Yeah, hey, CJ, just
Anyway,
get to
I
yeah.
was.
Go ahead.
Are you making the point?
I don't
Are
want
you
to
making the
go
point,
to.
CJ?
No, I'm done. So I'm happy to move on. I'm happy.
For many years, in fact, even right after slavery, during slavery, after slavery especially, we had more black families, more black men marrying black women, and women with the men, than we have now, because we have
Oh,
changed our opinion of each other. And so many things have happened to tear down our moral compass. And so one of the other things that has happened is that the enemy could.
So just to pause it real quick, because a lot of things that she's saying, she kind of gives it towards the black community, but I think it's very well widespread for a lot of people. Because I think that a lot of the stuff that we do see that's going on in the black communities right now, like the feminism, the crack,
they
all the
do it in the black
separation
community
from the
first,
father.
brother. Then they spread it.
Yep, and it goes on. It goes towards everyone else. So now what we're seeing is the effect of what's happening to everyone else. Now the example that she gives was the introduction of crack into the inner cities, which helped separate the mothers from the children, because that was before that. You know, it was pretty difficult to separate a mother from her child, but the drugs and getting people addicted made that very easy. Now separate crack from the black community, we look at the community as a whole. We have an opioid epidemic, a pretty massive opioid epidemic that is affecting men, women, everybody at large, similar to what everyone was going through, or the black folks were going through during the crack epidemic. Now we're seeing that other communities aside from black people are getting affected with these certain toxic ideologies on how did they view their men, because a lot of these things she's mentioning are very similar. But does anyone else have anything to add to her point up in this point?
Well, I like that she pointed out, separate the mother from the child, because I try to point this out to people all the time. It's going over their head. The core of their plan for destroying the nuclear family, because when you say that to people, they're like in disbelief, because they're like, why would someone want to destroy family? It's like, okay, pay attention. What are people? People are adults that at one point in time were children. We're all products of our childhood. The way we think, what we sit here and argue passionately with no information, no facts, and no experience is shit that we were told when we were kids. So the government knows this. They understand that the best way to get to someone's psychology is to get them young. So what they do is they say, okay, we got to get the kids to ourselves. So what they do is they first divide the parents. Let's get the dad out of the house. The dad leaves the house for work, but he comes home every day. How do we get him to stay away? Well, we'll sit here and give the woman money if she doesn't have an adult male living with her, and we'll offer her just enough money. We'll offer her a little bit more annually than what the husband would be bringing in on average. And that should be enough to incentivize her to raise her children alone as a single mother. Okay, we got that accomplished. Perfect. Okay, now, since the cost of living is going up, women now need more money to run a single parent household. So what do the women start doing? The women start going to work. Now we're going to praise women for going to work. Okay, we're going to encourage women to go be boss babes and all that other shit. And guess what happens to those kids? Their loan is acceptable to the state. Now the state can indoctrinate them, okay, with free education. Why did they give us free education? They give us free education because that's their opportunity to start brainwashing our children. Once they get the mom and dad out of the picture, nobody's coming to parent-teacher day. That's when we can program the kids with all this bullshit we want to put in their head. So that's what it's always been about. Get the dad out the way, get the mom out the way, and get the kids to yourself.
Layla, what are your thoughts on that? How does you see what's happening right now with the communities and how it's affecting kids?
Yeah, I 100% agree with Ayende. There, there's so many things to say about this. There is an agenda behind all of this. Separate the mother from the child.